Hello, um, good morning and good evening, if good afternoon to whoever is watching this broadcast. This is our Open Data Day 2018 community call. We'll give a few more minutes for people to join the call, and then we can start with our call. Okay, it looks like we have some people joining. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us in this Open Data Day community call. We are very excited about this year's event. And we'll start by sharing with all of you a little bit about Open Data Day and what it is and some news about this year's event, including the mini grant scheme and how you can organize your own event wherever you are. So let me just quickly share. Okay. So Open Data Day is a bottom-up celebration of open data all over the world. It is a community effort to show the benefits of open data. We try to make events, organize events that will show the benefits that open data can bring specifically to a community, and also it is a moment to bring new people to the community. So we might be used to talking to open data experts or transparency experts, developers, etc. But it is important to bring more people in to the community. So it is a good chance to do that. Who can participate in this? Everyone, including but not limited to regular people. That can be your next door neighbor or programmers, designers, journalists, students in university, or any kind of student actually, and you. So this is the 8th year that Open Data Day is happening. Last year, we had 346 events registered across the world, which was an all-time record. And this year, we are in 40 so far. So if you haven't registered your event, you can go to opendataday.org and register your event so that it shows in the map with the rest of the events, and that way people can see if there's something happening in their city and they can attend the Open Data Day event. So from those more than 300 events registered last year, we supported some of those, especially the ones that fit into 4 different categories. One was open research data, follow the money events, tracking public money flows, open data for environment, and open data for human rights. We did this with the support of Spark, HEVOS, and the Hewlett Foundation. And we had some interesting learnings from that. We learned that, well, more than 200 people applied to get support on their events. Most of the applications came from the Global South. from those, more than half came from the African continent, which is exciting, seeing that there is interest in developing the open data community in African countries. And last year, we prioritized newcomers, that is, organizations or groups that are new in the open data sphere and will benefit from having the Open Data Day mini grants to make their events happen and push the open data agenda forward in their community. The second priority we gave was to projects with clear outcomes and possible follow-up. We know that when we think about open data projects, we would like to solve everything using open data. But particularly for Open Data Days, since it's such a limited time span, we try to focus on projects that will finish the day with something out of it, with a specific outcome out of it. And if possible, if the project is exciting enough for the community to follow up on it. Then we identified that most of these applications were made by male organizers. So we didn't really ask, we didn't have a baseline of the type of organizer that we had or the gender of the organizers, but we would like to have more female organizers. That is something that would be important for us. So this year we're trying to build a baseline to understand how that distribution of the gender of organizers changed. So for this year, we will have, again, the support from Spark and HEVOS for open research data and tracking money flows. And we will also have Mapbox kindly supporting the open mapping events. So if you have an open mapping project in mind for this year, you can apply for a mini grant for that. So what do we want to see this year? We would like to see more collaboration between groups. Last year, we had a couple examples of cities that are neighboring cities or very close by that developed Open Data Day events together between two cities. So we would like to see more of that. You don't have to have a neighboring city. It could be based on a thematic issue. So if there's something on your mind about that, you can coordinate with more people. New topics and groups organizing Open Data Day events. So we would like to also to keep seeing new people coming in to the open data community. As I mentioned before, we expect more female submitters or joint submissions in the application for mini grants. And we want to see new perspectives on data or on data use or data generation, because we know that not all open data comes from the government or from a specific group in civil society. We know that citizen-generated data can be important in some contexts. So we would like to also see that and understand how we can promote more of those projects in the community. So just a quick reminder. In the dashboard, we have some questions. There's a live chat. We are gathering the questions there, and I'll try to respond to them as the call advances. And I see people are asking when the call starts. So can the viewers see me? Maybe you can respond through the live chat. Okay, perfect. Okay, so another good news about this year's Open Data Day is that we developed a guide, a very short guide on how you can organize your Open Data Day event. And what we focused on was on giving like the general things that might be good to take into account to organize it. And let me share with you real quick. So it is called the Open Data Day Organizer's Guide. Let me paste the link in the chat. And what it does is basically give you some introduction to what Open Data Day is, some information about Open Data Day. We let you know that this is a bottom-up initiative coordinated by the open data community. So even though Open Knowledge has facilitated the mini grant scheme, for example, and helped develop the website, it is organized by a broader open data community, and we hope to have more active engagement in the community as Open Data Day evolves. And especially because it has changed a lot from a very small community with small hackathons in a few dozen cities to, as you saw, more than 300 events all over the world. And the thing is, it is open to participate. There is nothing that you have to do in particular to organize an Open Data Day. You just need to make the decision to organize it. And what we give you is a few things to think about as you organize it. For example, what is Open Data Day good for? And we try to give some outlines of work on defined issues, bring new actors, as I mentioned, and trying new forms of organization. And what it might not be good for is building what we call Swiss knife apps. So you know how a Swiss knife has all these tools and can do amazing things, but actually sometimes you don't even know what some of those tools are for. And you probably use them once and don't necessarily use them anymore. So building something like that takes some time. And what we want, as I mentioned before, is to see events that will focus on specific outcomes, clear outcomes that you can follow up on. Then making it happen, we try to give you some tips to define a scope of how you can decide what the Open Data Day event should look like. Some other ideas that, for example, Spark has developed, Josh Stauber in his guide for hackathons, and another text about how to think about a hackathon not focused so much on developing technology, but thinking about other approaches to thinking about technology. Then finding a venue, defining an agenda, we have some examples of how you can, based on what the Smart Chicago Collective did, define an agenda. This is based on a conference, so figuring out that, the logistics, because there's always the case that we might need to hire an internet service or having a projector, and it turns out that the projector can't connect to our computer. So thinking about that is an important thing that we have noticed that we needed to share with the community. Then thinking about sponsorship, we link you to the Open Data Day website so that you can apply for funding for the mini grants, using the hashtags to communicate through social media, and how you can follow up. This is a work in progress, as everything in Open Data Day. So if it is open for comments, anyone in the community can comment on the guide. If there's something that you think needs any update, or you think there's some tip or some content that you would like to add, please let us know. You can add comments. If for any reason it is not letting you do that, just send us a message to network@okfn.org, and we'll see how we can fix that. Okay. So let's take a look at the questions. Okay, it says it's not possible to open. Okay. Yeah, it is giving an error for some reason. Maybe too much people trying to join at the same time, could be. Okay, if it is not possible to join, you can find the link in blog.okfn.org. There, the last blog post we posted was all the information about the mini grants, a little bit of an introduction to it, and a link to the guide and a link to the form to apply for the mini grants. So if I think the easiest way to not overload Google Drive, because it might be having too much people there might just be hard for Google Drive to manage. So next in the agenda is actually going really quickly to the Open Data Day website, because as we change as Open Data Day evolves, the needs for the website have changed as well. So if you have gone into the website, you may have seen that we have support for multiple languages. So the default is English, but you can change through the little menu here. And you can submit a language for the Open Data Day website so that you can share it with more people. The easiest way to do this is through GitHub. For those who are familiar with GitHub, this is where we keep all the repositories for the open knowledge tools. And if you go to github.com/okfn/opendataday, I will try to paste that in the chat real quick. On the README, you can see how you can edit and contribute if you want to work through some of the issues that we have here. We have some user stories and some very specific things like changing the color of the triangle map in the map. You can see them here when you go to an event. So someone suggested changing that color because it is not as prominent. So you can do that, but also if you're not the developer kind, you can do that directly on GitHub. And it explains how to change the languages. So basically, we have everything in one file, the content that we have updated for this year. So even the languages that we do have right now aren't completely updated to the content for this year. So you just go into the Open Data Day repo and you can change the language, the contents in your own language. If you want to do it directly in GitHub, you can do it. You can create a new file. You can upload files if you don't, if you're not used to that, and if you want to use your terminal to do all the Git commands, you can also do that too. You can see all the languages that we have available right now. So yeah, if you want to help Open Data Day, another way to do that is the translation of the website. And as you can see, we have the 3 topics for this year's mini grants and the events. If you haven't registered your event, you can just click on the Register Your Event Here button, and it will take you directly to the form where you can register your event and share it with the rest of the world. We are also updating the resources for this year. We try to add some resources of where you could look for the information or data to organize your Open Data Day event. We are also open to receiving new sources for the rest of the organizers. So you can also do that through the GitHub page directly and just submit a pull request, which I see we have 2 right now. We'll have to look into that. Okay. Okay, so let's go real quick through the questions. We have a call from Camilo Urbano. What can be categorized as open research data? Could be urban and transport open data research. Yes, so open research data means that whatever data you use or generate to develop scientific research is put in the open with an open license so that anyone can reuse and redistribute that data or those data that you use, or that you use open methodologies to achieve that. Probably research around anything would apply to using open research data, but I wouldn't limit it to a specific topic that open research focuses on. Do you have any other questions so far about whether the mini grant scheme or the Open Data Guide, the Open Data Day Guide, maybe how to translate the contents of the website? We can give a few seconds if anyone has any questions. Okay. Well, just a reminder, this Google Hangouts is being recorded and will be available right after we finish this broadcast in the same link. So if you want to share it with any other people in your community, please feel free to share. Or if you think this might be useful for your organizing efforts, you can come back and watch this video again. Let's see. Gender research can be one of the subjects for open research data. It is, yes, in the end, it is about the methodology, not about the subject necessarily. So what we can do, you can check some of the resources, Camilo, in the opendataday.org resource page for what the open data, the open research does. Let me share real quick where you can see. Here you can see some of the examples that we have for open research data. So the Root Data Commons, a repository for general public data sets of scientific interest, hosted by the OSPC. Data sharing this is a resource that Spark developed. So policies about article sharing and policies about data sharing to call something open research data. Open Trials, which is an effort to make all the medical trials available in an open format. And Zenodo. So if text and data mining, because sometimes the research might not be in the friendliest formats, so you can mine those contents, and this allows you to go through it. And yeah, this is a repository of research data that you might want to look at in different formats and by different keywords that you might find. Okay. Is there any other mechanism to contact different groups in any country besides Google Groups? Yes, you can. One of the way is our forum, where you can go through the many topics that we share there. So you can look by local groups. We have specific areas for the groups in our geographic groups, our country groups. You can look at the major projects that Open Knowledge International has, the Open Knowledge Labs, and the more specific open spending and frictionless data projects. Inside the working groups, you can also take a look at what people have done. Some of them are more active than others. So yeah, the easiest way is looking at the forum, particularly in Latin America. The open data community has a Telegram group where we share and discuss constantly about the issues in region. So I can also put you in touch with them after the call if that is useful for you. Can you touch on different data sets in tracking public money flows? Yes. We know that following the money, as we call them, is very, it isn't based on only one data set, right? Because if you want to follow public money, it might mean you want to look at budgets, you want to look at spending, you want to look at contracting. So you definitely want to use different data sets in tracking public money flows. For that, you can take a look at the resources again, and there are many resources, particularly one of the trends right now is open contracting. So you can take a look at what they've done, especially with the open data contracting standard. They have a few examples of what people have done there. You can take a look at open spending, which is one of our own projects, which try to give access to fiscal records in different countries. Again, budgets, and a very interesting approach to that is the Panama Papers, right? Which some of you may have heard of. If there's data for your municipality, you can take a look at that. This particular resource is for South Africa, but if you know that there might be information like this in your community, you might use something like that. And the last resource, so development check. So how can we improve our development projects? So yes, for sure, you can use different data sets for the follow the money projects. Actually, we would encourage you to do that because that might be more interesting for participants, right? If you have relevant events on the Friday before or Monday after Open Data Day, can we still post them on the ODD website? I think there shouldn't be a limitation about that. If it is related to your Open Data Day event, Janice, for sure you should post it on the Open Data Day website because we want more people to learn about it. So yeah, I would say you should post it. If it's related to your Open Data Day event, you should. Okay, any other questions so far? Okay, so yeah, maybe if the event is not about Open Data Day, it might be confusing for participants, especially people that might be interested on participating in an Open Data Day. And so it might confuse them. It might send a confusing message if it's not related. Any other questions so far? Okay, in the meantime, just wanted to let you know that we will receive the submissions for the Open Data Day mini grants until February the 2nd of this year. So keep that in mind to prepare your submissions. Remember, we would like to see projects or events that will focus on projects with clear outcomes after Open Data Day. And we want to see new people. So we are always excited to see how we can support new members to the open data community. So spread the word and let people know that if they're interested in organizing an Open Data Day event, they can do it very easily and they can access the organizer's guide. Okay. Let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, looks like there aren't. So, okay, if there are not any other questions, I think we have gone through all the points in our agenda. I would only like to share that for the three categories that the three tracks that we have for the mini grants, if you apply to either of them, we might follow up with some specific, some particularities about each of them. So you should keep your mind open, particularly for the follow the money track. We will share that with you a bit more deeply because we're working on that with HEVOS. So yes, we will give you more information about that as the applications come in. How applicable is audit data beyond budgets for tracking development projects? That is a good question. So audit data has some information about already like projects that have been implemented. So you might want to try at least to check that with the projects that were planned to happen. Because in the end, development projects should have some background on why they're happening. So even if you don't have the specific budget for this project, there might be some information, some background information that might help you. So yeah, I think audit data could be important if you can cross-reference it with other type of data or information related to those projects, for sure. Any other questions? Well, did that respond to your question, Olusegun? Okay. So we're almost out of time. If there are no more questions, please, you can always send us an email. You can post on the forum. And you can add comments, as I mentioned, again, in the Open Data Day Organizers Guide. And if you have time or would like to have the Open Data Day website in your own language, you can always go to the GitHub repo and submit a new language to include in the website. So thank you very much, all of the ones that came to this community call. And if there is nothing else on the agenda, thank you all and good luck with your Open Data Day events. And waiting to hear from you on March 3rd. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.